Hello and welcome to my channel. It's the Network Specialist. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. Everything I will discuss in this video is alleged and in my very own opinion, used for entertainment purposes only. So I am doing part two of my recap of Next Gen New York, season one, episode three, Daddy Issues and Poolside Tissues. Okay. So I started this recap earlier and this is part two. So it's going to be brief, but let me go ahead and get into it. So once again, Riley was letting Charlie know that offending her when he said that she was being rude to his friends when all she did was introduce herself because his friends added themselves to the group while they were hanging out and they didn't introduce themselves. So Raleigh was being polite and she went over and she introduced herself, but some kind of way that got turned around and Charlie viewed that as Riley being rude. So let me just say this. Um, I think Riley can defend herself. Um, and she's definitely going to have to defend herself to somebody like a Charlie because there's always going to be an asshole in the group. And basically, you just have to ignore them because at this point, Charlie is a troublemaker and it's really getting kind of old. They get together as a group. Everybody just wants to have a good time. Some of these kids are in a new city and it's very intimidating being in a new city, trying to make new friends and trying to find your friend group. So Charlie is just making this situation just a little bit uncomfortable for the entire group with all of his antics and just being rude to everybody. It is totally not acceptable. And I think Riley is going to be the one who is going to have to call him out because, hey, Toot Latrice, thank you so much for being here. Because everybody just lets Charlie ride with whatever he has to say. Okay. And earlier when I was doing my live, a troll came in my chat with some rude comments and had something to say. And I'm going to just say this. Sometimes, when you have friends of another race, sometimes they don't know how to approach you. Like, for an example, I had one of my she initially she was my coworker, but we ended up becoming friends. You know, I would hang out at her house and we would go out together, on a few occasions or whatever the case may be. And one day she asked me how should she address me? Like she wanted to know, "Hey Sandra P, thank you so much for being here." She wanted to know if it was okay to call me black or whatever the case may be. And for black people, that's just our lingo. Like calling us black, that's not, an insult to us. But sometimes when we say white people, sometimes it might be offensive to them. And Sandra P said, glad you're reviewing this. We support Riley. Absolutely. And the thing about it is, black women get labeled as an angry black woman all the time. And the fact that we also have black men calling us angry black women, it makes it believable, especially to other races. So sometimes it can be a sensitive topic. But Riley is 5'8", okay? So, you know, I don't know if that's intimidating to Charlie because, she's tall, she stands up for herself, and maybe he's just not used to women calling him out on his shit. Okay. So that's pretty much what's going on with the situation with Riley and Charlie. So once, they were at the pool party, Charlie apologized again. I mean, he gave Riley this sincere apology. Riley felt better. She was laughing. She thought everything was cool. So Charlie immediately walked away, went and had a conversation with some other friends, and he said that he really did not mean the apology to Riley. He was just doing it to appease her, basically. So Ava, somebody went back and told Ava, who is Charlie's friend. So, she went and told Riley. I don't know if I would have done that, but Ava made the decision to go and tell Riley that he didn't mean the apology. He basically did it to appease her. So while they were having that conversation, he kind of came over, you know, and he was like, "Are we still good? Because now, Ava's mad at me because of this situation." But one thing that Riley did tell Ava, she told her that, you're a black woman as well. So what he's saying should also be offensive to you. So that's what I want you to let him know, that when you're, saying things like that, to a black person, it's also offensive to me as well, because Ava grew up in New York. So she's used to the whole New York culture and things like that. And Riley is new to all of this. She's a country girl. She's from Georgia. She's trying to find her way. And I think she's trying to make it in New York because maybe she just doesn't want to have to go back home, live with her parents, whatever the case may be. So she's trying to make it work in New York. So once again, she's being put in an uncomfortable situation, and he's trying to smooth things over when he could have just kept it to himself, that he didn't mean the apology. So he's actually making the situation worse, and he's making everybody else uncomfortable, because now they have to console Riley because it was really effed up what he did and what he said. So this Charlie guy, I just don't know. He never takes anything seriously, and he's been able to get away with doing this all of this time. So the show pretty much ended with Riley, calling Charlie. He was pulling away because now at this point he's leaving. He's getting ready to catch an Uber. So she's still, even though he didn't mean the apology, she's trying to smooth things over. So that's how this episode ended. I don't know how this is going to play out. And Sandra P, I know you're also watching the show and reviewing the show. And we were talking earlier, and we were talking about who our faves are. And my faves, definitely, I would say Riley, Brooke, and Ariel. Although I think it was Ariel that made the statement when they were getting ready to get in the pool. And I think this is so tacky, which is something we talked about earlier on the live, that, being raised in a white home is so different than being raised up in a black home. But Ariel said, I think she asked her boyfriend to make sure that the string from her woman's, you know, situation that we have monthly was not showing, and that aired on TV. Like, that is so trashy. Like, girl, you couldn't have, go in the bathroom and check that out, or maybe ask a friend to go to the bathroom with you. But to say that out in the open while you know that the cameras are rolling, like, sometimes people just need to have a little bit more class about themselves, because that was just so nasty. I'm sorry. And Sandra P said, I like Ariana too, but she's Kim's daughter. Riley and Gia Brooke. Riley and Gia Brooke is weak. Yes. Um, Brooke is so sweet. He was sitting there when she called her mom, and I forgot to talk about that. So I think Candy called Riley, or she called Candy, but I think Candy just happened to call her while all of this was playing out. And she was just letting her mom know, like, how he had said some offensive things to her. And Candy was saying, I'm glad that you put him in his place and you let him know that that wasn't, appropriate for him to just call you out on something that you just didn't do. She was actually introducing herself to his friends, and he took that as she was being rude, when that's not what she was trying to do. Anybody who know Riley and have watched her grow up, Riley is always super sweet. She's sweet to everybody. She's not problematic. So anytime there's something being said, people should just automatically assume that, she has good intentions, basically. So this Charlie is just going to be a problem for this show. And I am just very curious to see how all of this is going to be played out. If he needs to be kicked off the show, I am all for it. And Sandra said that Shy, they are getting close. Brooks was mom. Hmm. I'm kind of confused there, Sandra P. But this is the thing, guys. I like this show. And from what I've heard, this show is getting a lot of views because this show is diverse. So you're going to have a wide group of people watching this show. And for somebody like me, a black person covering this show, some of the things that I say might be offensive to some people. And if you are offended by anything I'm saying on my channel, this might not be the channel for you. Because when I speak, I'm speaking from my own life experiences. And, I'm speaking from my point of view and my opinion. So, again, if this is not for you, then politely just leave my channel. Because again, I know that, this particular show is going to be viewed by a wide range of people. So that's going to be expected. And Sandra said, we need to review it. They don't own it. Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely going to review it, and I'm going to review it the way that I see fit because this is my point of view and from my own life experiences and from what I'm seeing that's happening on the show. I'm definitely going to review it because one, I want to support Riley and Ariel. I know Ariel is Kim's daughter, and sometimes she can only be who she was raised to be. So I'm very open to that. And I actually like Ariel. Yeah, I actually like her and everything. Ava, for whatever reason, I think she goes a little bit too lenient on Charlie. And I feel like at some point, Ava had a crush on Charlie until she realized that he was a complete jerk. So that went away. But even when he made the statement that if he was going to F Ava, he would have done it a long time ago. He's just a rude ass son of a gun, you know. And if they're going to continue to allow him to be in their friend circle, they're going to have to call his ass out because if they don't do that, then this type of behavior is just going to continue. And why should they have to deal with that? Like, this is their first time being on a reality TV show, and they should want to have a good experience. So sometimes you have to weed out the bad people. And Sandra said, Ava wants to fit in. Absolutely. And like Riley said, Ava grew up in New York. You know, I'm not really sure what the nationality of her mom, Rachel, is, but she's definitely, probably her mom is mixed. Her dad is, of course, all black, but her mom is mixed. So she's going to have a different experience than Riley would. And Riley definitely pointed that out to her. And Sandra said, Charlie is too old for the group, in my opinion. He is because they're in their early 20s and he's 29. So you would think he would want to be a role model, but he's childish. And it seems like they're a lot more mature than Charlie is. So I would not be, if Charlie goes, I would be so okay with that. Hey, Sharon, thank you so much for being here. So I did notice that, you know, when I review this show, there's a lot of people that's watching this show. So that's a good thing for these young adults being on a reality TV show for the first time. And it's only going to get better from here. So I want them to have a good experience. And the fact that they put this group together with the diversity in this group is really a great thing. And you need those type of experiences in life. Because what if you were black and you only had black friends? Then that would, you know, that would limit, your experiences dealing with other cultures and vice versa. So Guys, that's pretty much all I have for this part two. I just really wanted to get a little bit deeper in this situation of what happened with Charlie and Riley. Hopefully, they can clean it up. But at this point, if I were Riley, I would stay away from Charlie because he's just not the person that you would want as a friend anyway. He doesn't bring anything positive to the group. All he does is bring negative energy. So he can definitely go. But outside of that, they had a blast at the pool party. It looked like it was a lot of fun. The whole setup, the pizza making, everything was cool. And Sharon put a thumbs down for Charlie. Yes, Charlie is definitely a piece of work. And I think it's because he's just um an angry person. Like he didn't have really good experiences growing up and he didn't get much attention, and this group might be the closest thing that he has to having a family. Hey, Mama Bees, thank you so much for being here. So I feel like he has a lot to learn, and maybe this group can actually teach Charlie something because, everybody is not going to give Charlie a pass. And these young people, I feel like they have given Charlie a lot of passes. At this point, he doesn't deserve any more. They need to call Charlie out on absolutely everything at this point. And then if he still continues with this behavior, I think that they need to come together as a group and they need to boot his ass out of the group. Like friends should do that. Like they need to make a decision on whether Charlie gets to remain in the group because at this point he has called out pretty much everybody in the group at some point. He's annoyed Brooke, he's disrespected his sister. He got into it with Riley. Georgia is supposed to be his good friend. He left her with Riley drunk and he went to go hang out with other friends. So if I were Georgia, like I would be ready to kick him to the curb as well because friends are supposed to be there for you. And if they see you having too much to drink, they're supposed to make sure that you get home safely, not leave with some people that you just met. So, yeah. Hopefully, Charlie will see the error of his ways and he will, improve on that. But I really don't see it because in every single episode, there is just drama with Charlie. And I'm kind of over it because honestly, if it were me, like when he tried to come over and smooth things over after taking back his apology, like I wouldn't have had any conversation for him at that point. Like, I would have been done. But again, Riley's a sweet girl. She's just trying to make it work. But it couldn't have been me because I would have definitely got with Charlie at that point. Because, yeah. So, guys, that's going to be it for part two of my recap of Next Gen NYC. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you did not like the video on the way in, please like the video on your way out. And if you happen to be catching the replay, please like the video and subscribe to the channel and drop down in the comments so that we can keep this conversation going. And Sharon said, Riley had better get some of the Mother Joyce spirit in her and fast. You know, Sharon, I'm going to say this. I kind of think that Riley can handle her own. I think when Riley was crying when they were on their way to the pool party, I think that was just her having an emotional moment overall. Like, I don't even think it was just about what was going on with her and Charlie. I think that it was just that she was overwhelmed. Being in a new city, away from your family, I think Riley was just overwhelmed and she was just having an emotional moment because it came out of nowhere. But when she said what she said to Charlie, I felt like, she was handling her business. And now that she knows who Charlie really is, like I think she's gonna be, she's gonna go at Charlie the way that she should. Like she's not gonna let him run over her. and she's gonna call his ass out. That's just what I feel. And she said that's a good point. Exactly. Because anybody who's ever been in a new state without your family, it does get lonely, you know, and I think she was just having an emotional moment. But if you know Candy, Candy don't play either. Oh, I just thought about something. Maybe Riley is like her mom because, we all have heard and we all have seen Candy cry at the drop of a hat. That doesn't mean that she's soft. She's just a very emotional person. But I tell people, if you see me cry, you probably better run because at that point, I'm furious. It's not because I'm weak. It's just that I'm furious and ain't no telling what I'm fixing to do. Okay. So maybe we just found out that Riley is a little sensitive like her mom, and she can cry at the drop of a hat like her mom Candy. So maybe that's what it is, but we already know Candy is not going to let anybody play in her face. And I kind of feel like that's how Riley is as well. And the thing about it is, Riley has a lot of support. So I don't think nobody wants to mess with Riley, if we're really being honest. Okay. So on that note, um, have a great evening and bye for now.